Hi, this is Masenya of Masenya Attorneys Incorporated, a law firm based in Centurion, Republic of South Africa. We boast 24 years of legal practice in the areas of commercial and tax laws. My professional team and I have over the years proved great success in assisting numerous clients with a myriad of commercial and tax matters involving millions of rands. We are skilled, experienced, qualified, and have the capacity to assist you. Email us at clients@cntlaw.co.za or call us 011-318-6592 or 084-383-7747. All consultations are strictly by appointment.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Solomon's Temple, everyone. Great to have you here. If you were here for the first time, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here regularly. This is a platform where we get to talk about all things regarding church leadership, accountability, integrity, transparency, and we expose the corrupt practices within the church. And of course, there are quite a lot, not a few, corrupt practices around the church leadership structure. You know, people taking advantage of all of this, charlatans, false prophets, fake pastors masquerading as men of God, which is sad. But thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel, Solomon's Temple. Click subscribe so you can join me and check out some of the videos that we had made over time. Great to have you here. Queen says, hi, Uncle Sol. Compliments for the year 2026. Compliments to you also. Awesome to have you here. And all the way from the Redemption Camp in Lagos, Nigeria. Peter, great to have you here, Peter. I hope you're having a wonderful new year, and everyone who's watching. Please let me know where you're watching from. You know, drop a comment, make sure you interact, and you also let us know what you think about the topic. All right. So, you know, sometimes when pastors or churches make certain decisions, it actually makes headlines. And that's exactly what happened when Pastor Isaac Oyedepo. Now, Pastor Isaac Oyedepo made a statement saying that, hey, God is telling me the church that we're starting, we're not going to take offering. We're going to concentrate solely on discipleship. Now, obviously, the offering part became the emphasis. You know, that's what even the media, they picked it up. Everybody, the conversation on social media was around the offering part. I'm going to play you the video so you can listen to him, you know. And that's quite key, because when it comes to offering and tithes and money around the church, it's definitely a big issue, right? So here's a video of Pastor Isaac Oyedepo. Now, let me paint it for you. Pastor Isaac Oyedepo is the son of Bishop David Oyedepo of Winners Chapel, that is Living Faith Global Church. Pastor Isaac Oyedepo, when he was younger, I think over 10 years ago, he actually served here in Johannesburg, South Africa. He was the head pastor. But we know that Winners Chapel is a global church right now with branches in so many different countries in Europe, Americas, North America, Africa, just everywhere. Now, this is the video. He's talking about his new ministry. About a year ago or so, he disengaged from his father's church, which is Winners Chapel. He felt he was taking a different slant, a different angle to ministry, what God is calling him. So I think they prayed for him and released him and all that kind of stuff. So here's a video of him actually saying that God has told us when we start this ministry, there shouldn't be no offering collection.
All Jesus had to do was make disciples, and the fire fell and refell, and they were filled and refilled. But all he had to focus on is making disciples. And when he was leaving, He told us, this is my commandment, go make disciples of all nations. Sparking fire in a place, as we like to call it, doesn't sustain the fire if there is no emphasis on discipleship. Discipleship will require consistency. You cannot raise disciples once in a while. It has to be a consistent journey. But someone who is well brought up in the scripture can say, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir. That's not the scripture. No, sir, no, sir. How healthy will our churches be if people are deep in scripture? One of the things God made clear to us is that we shouldn't collect offering in this meeting. So there's not going to be any offering collection. Is there anything wrong with it? No. But he didn't tell us to collect. He's working on something. And let him do his work.
All right. So you had him there. Let me replay that again. When he's talking about God said, don't collect.
Our churches be if people are deep in scripture. One of the things God made clear to us is that we shouldn't collect offering in this meeting. So there's not going to be any offering collection. Is there anything wrong with it? No. But he didn't tell us to collect. He's working on something. And let him do his work.
All right. Pastor Isaac Oyedepo there. What do you think about it? Please comment. Drop your comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. A few things there. You know, even before we talk about the no offering or collection part, the first part of it is, I think there is a new breed of pastors that are coming up that are now beginning to want to do church biblically. And what am I saying? Doing church biblically, the most important part of being church biblically is not our conferences, it's not our revival meetings, our prophetic meetings, our prayer meetings, is not our music concert. No, it's discipleship. That is the biblical way of doing church. And what is discipleship? Discipleship is basically emulating someone, a discipline where you get a discipline to emulate something, right? And Jesus had the 12 disciples. What were they all about? They were emulating Christ, his character, his lifestyle, his conduct. And if there's anything that the African church has totally missed in the present day church, is discipleship. We've left discipleship far, far away. We went into evangelism. Everybody, you need to be an evangelist. You need to preach the gospel, preach the gospel. So if you preach the gospel, people get saved. What next? Do you disciple them? Because that's how they get to understand why they are saved. That's how they get to become like Christ. Discipleship, for me, you know, I love discipleship. I'm a product of discipleship, and discipleship is one of the mandate that I do have. That's why I do all of these things, to help you rethink certain things, see things differently, because that is discipleship. I was this way. I was living this sort of lifestyle. I became a Christian. How can I unlearn, relearn, you know, get rid of certain things? Why should I even do that? That is discipleship, and it requires time. But now we just want to have a meeting. Some people think you come to church on a Sunday and that's just it. You could see Christians who are not discipled. And trust me, a lot of Christians are not discipled. Do you ever sit down and ask yourself, this decision I'm making or this decision I just made, is it biblical? Do you pause every time to ask yourself, what I just said to this person, the way I spoke to them, is it biblical? The way I treated my wife, the way I treated my friend, the way I use this money, the way I got this money, is it biblical? Because that is discipleship. That's the only thing that's going to help us to become more like Christ. Anyway, to the main crux of this video, he mentioned that God has told them, no offering. Don't call it offering. God is working on something. Now, it's a bit unusual for a Nigerian church or African church to come out and say no offering. The first thing you have to ask yourself, is it his own way of getting attention? Or is he indirectly telling us that actually God has provided? Or is God just saying, look, hey, this is what I want you to do. Trust me. Do not get offering. We're going to provide the finances. I'm going to provide the finances for you to be able to, obviously they have bill for the venues, or they have a few staff or whatever. They need all of that. Now, this has become news because he's saying, don't collect offering. Now, I'm not against churches that collect offerings. Giving is very, very important. My question is always, when you collect this offering and tithe, what do you use it for? How do you use it? That's the big question. Because a lot of African churches are not accountable. At the end of the year, they don't open their books, their account books, and show you this is how much came in and this is how much we spent. I go to a church. I grew up in a church, like my home church. When I go back home in Nigeria, in Jos now, I go to that church, and every Sunday or at the end of every month, they will tell you this is how much was collected for tithes. This is how much was collected for offerings. This is how much was collected as donations. So you have an idea. When I was growing up, they used to do it every Sunday. But now we have a lot of these charismatic Pentecostal churches who, you ask them any of such questions, they even dismiss you. And that's the problem. So I love the fact that Pastor Isaac Oyedepo is concentrating on discipleship. And to be honest with you, the problem of the church today is not the problem of money. It's not the problem of false prophets. That's not the biggest problem. It's not the problem of lack of fire. It's the problem of discipleship. Because when you disciple the 12 like Jesus did, even when you are not there, like Jesus experienced, even when you passed away, the 12 is going to multiply because they are on fire. They are total fire. You see, there's something about discipling somebody that the fire, the passion, the obsession just consumes them to be able to walk like Christ, obey Christ, and be like Christ. The obsession. Until we get to that place where we are really for discipleship, trust me, we're still going to continue to have a church that is lukewarm, like it says in the book of Revelation. We're neither hot nor cold. We're going to see people who will come straight from a bed of sexual immorality with their boyfriend or side chick straight to church. Or from church, they go straight to commit adultery, fornication. They leave church on Sunday. On a Monday, they are forcing people to pay them a bribe before they permit certain things. They leave church on a Sunday, they go home. The way they speak to their wife or the way they speak to their husband is totally unbiblical. That's a problem of discipleship, guys. It's a huge problem of discipleship because no one really taught them. No one concentrated and taught them. You can't just disciple somebody just from every Sunday from the pulpit. That's not enough. You have to make it personal. Discipleship is very personal. You saw Jesus spending time with some of his disciples, Peter asking questions. That's discipleship. James and John, that's discipleship. Now, a pastor cannot reach out to all of these people, but he can create disciples that would create more disciples and create more disciples. That's the kind of fire we're talking about. Thank you so much, guys. God